Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Truth Talks. This week, we are going to get into another topic as we continue our journey through Ruth. So, this week is Mentorship Matters. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, last week we talked a bit about Ruth 2, and we talked about the importance of having a connection with someone and being able to have your story told. So, when you think about the dynamic between Ruth and Naomi, you learn a lot about Ruth's story and you learn a lot also about Naomi's story. But here's the kicker: Naomi shared the information with Boaz, and she spoke very well of Ruth in such a way that her story preceded her. So Boaz was able to attain certain information about her based on his communication with Naomi. And so as you read through Ruth 2, you'll see that the information that was spoken to Boaz from Naomi regarding Ruth was so important, because that really enabled him to get a great deal of information about Ruth, and therefore his whole dynamic, his whole connection, his whole I guess you could say, in a sense, his love for her. I believe that was the beginning of where it started, because he was able to see the kindness that she had toward her mother-in-law. And so that prompted him to say to his men, hey, leave some things on the ground, because she's actually wasn't too good of a worker. But he said, make it easy for her. Drop some things so that she can begin to gather it. And then that was how she was able to fulfill the needs of for food for not only her, but also Naomi as well. So this week, let's delve into Ruth 3. Ruth 3. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said unto her, My daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee? And now is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maidens thou wast? Behold, he winnoweth barely tonight in the threshing floor. Wash thyself therefore, and anoint thee, and put thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the floor, but make not thyself known unto the man, until he shall have done eating and drinking. And it shall be, when he lieth down, that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie. And thou shalt go in and uncover his feet, and lay thee down, and he will tell thee what thou shalt do. And she said unto her, All that thou sayest unto me, I will do. And she went down unto the floor, and did according to all that her mother-in-law bade her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn. And she came softly, and uncovered his feet, and laid her down. And it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid, and turned himself. And behold, a woman lay at his feet. And he said, Who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thine handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman. And he said, Blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast showed me more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning, inasmuch as thou followeth not young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou requirest, for all the city of my people doth know that thou art a virtuous woman. And now it is true that I am thy near kinsman. Howbeit there is a kinsman nearer than I. Tarry this night, and it shall be in the morning that if he will perform unto thee the part of a kinsman, well, let him do the kinsman's part. But if he will not do the part of a kinsman to thee, then will I do the part of a kinsman to thee. As the Lord liveth, lie down unto the morning. And she lay at his feet until the morning, and she rose up before one could know another. And he said, Let it not be known that a woman came into the floor. Also he said, Bring the veil that thou hast upon thee, and hold it. And when she held it, he measured 6 measures of barley, and laid it on her. And she went into the city, and when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, Who art thou, my daughter? And she told her all that the man had done to her. And she said, These 6 measures of barley gave he me, for he said to me, Go not empty unto thy mother-in-law. Then said she, Sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall. For the man will not be in rest until he have finished the thing this day. So that's the reading of Ruth 3. So I wanted to focus on a specific set of verses rather. When we read from, verses 1 up until about verses 5, we see that Naomi is giving Ruth instruction. And so that ties well into what our discussion is about today. Mentorship matters. So let's delve into mentorship and let's explore the dynamic a little bit more about Naomi and Ruth. So what exactly is mentorship and why is mentorship needed? Well, mentorship, technically, when you think about it, it's mainly just providing insight, helpful counsel. It's really relationship, but the intention of the relationship is usually defined, and the intention is based upon one person sharing or giving information that will benefit the other. Now, this is needed because we were all created for a relationship. Not everyone knows everything. And so people that have more experience tend to be able to help others who have less experience. So when you delve into mentorship, it requires a certain mindset for mentorship, because if you know, like I do, not everybody is wired for mentorship or to receive mentorship or even to give. Some people, depending on what their life situation or circumstances they've gone through, may or may not be as open to receiving information. They may say, you know what? I'm just going to do it on my own. It's just me. I'll make it work. Some people kind of have that independence type mindset. But in actuality, I truly believe that everyone needs a mentor. So you really have to have a mindset of humility. You have to humble yourself and you have to be open to receiving and just knowing that you don't know everything. There are people in this world who can truly help you and assist you. So how does mentorship change the mentor and the mentee? So it could be pretty obvious that a mentor is pretty significant in the life of a mentee because they give them insight, information, help them through certain situations. But let's think about how having that relationship can also benefit the mentor. The mentee is pretty much, it's pretty obvious that they are benefiting, but the mentor has the ability to share that information. And so just reflecting on my personal experiences as a teacher, when I was able to give information to help my students, it feels good to know that the information that was shared with me, I can pass to some others and to help them. I can't explain it, but it's a feeling that you get just knowing that you can be a blessing, that God can use you as a vessel for his glory. And there's such satisfaction in that. So I definitely admonish those who are mentors. You have to understand that when you share with others, it's really truly you pouring into, you're sowing seeds, and God will bless you. God will truly bless you for the seeds that you've sown and deposited into others. So, and not only just the mentor and the mentee relationship, but communities are benefited because now we have a generation of people or students or mentees rather, that will be able to be successful in communities. And let's say the mentor helped the mentee with, I'm getting a little ahead of ourselves, but let's say they helped them with schooling or with a career. And now because this mentor helped this mentee, that mentee is now a doctor. And now because she's a doctor, she's able to save lives. So we really can't undervalue the benefit of mentorship because it can really, truly affect society at large. So now, as you probably know, I hinted a little bit about the types of mentorship. Let's just kind of explore that a little bit. So typically when we hear mentorship, we tend to think of an older person or more experienced person helping a less experienced person. And that can be pretty obvious, or not pretty obvious, but you can see that clearly in relationships such as career-based mentorship, vocational-based mentorship, even in the church, spiritual mentorship. There's a lot of people that call others spiritual mentors or spiritual moms, spiritual dads, spiritual aunties and uncles. You typically see that also in the classroom where someone who may be, let's say in 6th grade, mentoring a kindergartner, because they've advanced and they've gotten information that can help someone that's younger. But we also have what's called a peer-based mentorship, where it's not so much that one is older or more advanced, but they're somewhat on the same level and they're helping each other. And I tend to think of that as more as like accountability type mentorship. So it could be 2 5th graders, and let's say they're pretty intelligent, they're bright, and they just assist each other back and forth. They kind of mentor each other, or they can just kind of help each other through the process. But in the dynamic between Naomi and Ruth, We see that as an older woman counseling a younger woman. And so the Bible does talk about in Titus 2 how the older woman is to help with the younger women, help raise them up, help them to not only fold into society, but to become acclimated into society so they can fulfill the vision that God has established. So that's what God was saying in Titus 2, to really pour back into those that are younger than you, and not to just grow old and just take all the wisdom to yourself, but really help others. And so we see that very, very well in the dynamic between Naomi and Ruth. Naomi gave Ruth a set of instructions and she followed them. And guess what happened? Well, we'll see in Ruth 4. I won't tell you, but you can start to see what has begun to transpire just between their relationship. Naomi had a wealth of wisdom and she was able to pour into Ruth so that it was beneficial to her. And as we read next week in Ruth 4, we'll see exactly what happened. So how does this affect mother and daughter relationships? Well, if you think about Naomi and Ruth, you can see Naomi as the mother figure, Ruth as the daughter. Mothers tend to have more wisdom. They tend to have more information. They have more knowledge because they've been around longer. And most times their experience affords them the opportunity to share with their daughter information and things that are needed. So even though typically we don't think of a mother and a daughter as a mentorship, because the mother has way more than just mentorship responsibilities. She has to raise the child, take care of the child. Now, the mentor doesn't always go to that extent, but we can really think of it in light of sharing information as far as the relationship. You should really, truly see your parent as someone who is more experienced, who is there to help you. And just because you have a parent or a mother figure, you can still have a mentor, because mentors can be target specific for certain areas. So for example, you may want to mentor in the field of, aeronautics or in engineering. So that can also be a great supplement, but you never want to discount the impact and the experience and the wisdom that your mother may have as well. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Please feel free to connect with us at www.titleyourtruth.com, where we have a community of mothers and daughters where we can continue to engage and have conversation. Check out our podcast, www.truth-talks-podcast.com, where we have the audio version of our podcast, and also on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts at Title Your Truth. And if you have any questions, prayer requests, or just want to reach out to us for any reason, you can email us at hello@titleyourtruth.com. This has been another episode of Truth Talks, and we will see you next week as we continue with Ruth 4. Talk to you soon.